Welcome to another episode of Intuition First podcast with your hosts, Heather McKay and Christine Mira. We're here to connect you to your intuition and the gifts of the universe to get more out of your life and your business.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Intuition First. I am Heather McKay.
And I'm Christine Mira.
Hope you're having a great day today. Today, we're going to talk about the labels that we use, the things we talk about ourselves, and imposter syndrome, and all that good stuff. So let's get into it. Christine, tell us what imposter syndrome is, according to what some people say, and then what it really means.
Well, imposter syndrome for me is an excuse. It's an excuse. When I don't want to do something, I'm procrastinating. I don't feel like I could do it. I'm feeling a little insecure. I'm not very confident. It's just a darn excuse.
But a lot of people say that, oh, it's imposter syndrome and I don't feel good enough. I don't feel like who would listen to me. And it really is. I mean, people use it a lot. The term is thrown around a lot.
I know, it's like a collective. It's a collective conversation for you to opt out of doing whatever it is that you're really trying to show up for. It is the marketer's way of saying, hey, I know something's broken in you and you know something's broken in you and I'm here to fix it. So, hey, pay me some money and we'll get ourselves over being the imposter.
That's true. I do think some people use it as a tool because the term is thrown around so often that you can't help but get it ingrained in your head and, oh, the imposter syndrome and blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
I think that just the most lame ass excuse is the imposter syndrome. It's the reason why I can't get anything done. It's the reason why I don't show up. It's the reason why I can shake in lack of confidence, because you're not holding me accountable as the coach, but I'm going to keep paying you more money so that you can get me to step over the chasm so that I can actually do the thing that I'm supposed to be doing. But I don't feel like I really have it. So I'm going to keep listening to this whole thing about imposter syndrome so that I can keep opting out. Like that's my perspective on it, because
you feel pretty strongly about that.
I do, because there are too many people right now on the planet that have to show up so that we can all be helping and serving each other in such a way that the light workers overcome the darkness. And
agreed.
The more people that keep saying that stupid label. And sorry, I do actually think it's stupid, because every time you turn your attention to being an imposter, what do you focus on?
Being an imposter.
Exactly. That's what you focus on is, oh, I'm being an imposter. And what does that really mean? Well, that might mean, I don't feel as confident, or maybe I don't have the skill set, or maybe it's a lie that I'm really this person I say that I'm going to be. My response to that. So what if it is? So what if it is? If you are not focusing on generating and moving forward and trying it, because clarity begets action, or action begets clarity, right? Then how are you ever going to know that you can do something if all you do is tell yourself, I'm not good enough, I can't do it, I'm an imposter, I'm a fraud, I'm, and literally that's where you're at. I'm it's like those birds on Dory.
mine. Right. And it's reinforced everywhere you turn. If you read books, if you listen to other shows, if you especially in self-development, coaching, any of that kind of stuff, it's just everywhere. And I mean, as you go through learning about your intuition, your spirituality, the energy, all the different things that go along with that, you also learn that your words have power and your thoughts have power. And if you keep hearing those things, whether it's outside your head or inside your head, what is that doing? it's not helping you.
Well, I mean,
Totally undermining what you're trying to do.
The more that you speak it, the more that you think it, the more it becomes.
Right.
So my thing is, okay, yeah, you can feel like an imposter. And what are you going to do about it? I don't want to talk about your imposterness. I want you to talk about your brilliance. I want you to talk about how you think you're going to serve. I want you to show up and be the healer that you see in your mind's eye that you are.
Right.
I want you to be the gift of yourself to the world. And yes, while imposterness may have some kind of energetic field, you don't have to give into it and not show up.
Right. I think you can use it as a crutch. Absolutely.
Oh, it's so disabling. And the thing is there's nothing really wrong with you. You're a little bit scared. You're a little bit apprehensive. You might not have the confidence, but to focus on that, like there's this whole conversation about the super conscious mind, and that is the field of creation, right? But we have this level of resistance, and imposter syndrome lives inside that resistance. And it allows you to stop. It's like the permission slip, like you got in school, for you to say, yeah, I can't do it, can't show up. No, never mind. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. It is a permission slip for you to stop moving forward. That's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
And so how do we, well, first of all, we need to stop saying it. We need to redefine the emotions or the feelings that we're feeling, right?
Yeah.
Because they're temporary. They're just there, right? You have to acknowledge them.
Well, I think when you make something the reality, when you keep telling yourself you're this, guess what? You become that.
Right.
So like what I'm saying is admit that, okay, you feel like an imposter. So what? Right? You don't feel as confident. Okay. Like there's a level of acceptance that is around this conversation. You go, okay, like you acknowledge it.
Right.
Instead of like going, oh, I can't feel that. I can't feel, because then you have the struggle and resistance of I can't be that. And you get more energy inside of that. Right. So my thing is like, yeah, know you got that, and just say, yep, it's there, and keep going.
Right.
The more life and attention you give it, the longer it's going to last.
That's true. And for somebody who seems to get more stuck than others, what are some ways that maybe they can start to push through that if they don't have the wherewithal to just really push forward? You know what I mean? Like, what if somebody doesn't?
I accept myself. I love myself. Right? Yes. I am worthy.
Yes.
I am a kind, loving, worthy human being. I am of service. I am here on the planet to share my light with others. Like, see the programming just in the conversation of that? Feel this now. I'm an imposter.
Oh yeah, it feels bad. Doesn't feel good.
I am light. I love and accept myself. I am of kindness, gratitude, and graciousness. I'm filled with compassion. How does that feel?
Much lighter. Much lighter, and not like I'm in some sort of prison cell.
So that really, it's just that simple. See,
so just saying the words, redefining I am.
Right.
In those terms.
But here's the key. I got to tell you, you know what the key is? Ready?
I want the key. Tell me the key.
Choice.
It does come back to choice. You are correct.
You just get to choose. Do I want to go down the imposter syndrome and take myself out of my life and living and all the things I'm about, and I want to like just fall into it and keep falling into it, and now I need somebody to help me out of it? Go down that thread. Or you can make the choice of being, I'm of service. I am here on the graciousness of source to help other people. I am a kind, loving, compassionate human being. Like, it's literally that simple. And you don't need someone to help you get into it. You can find people to support you in that structure. But you see, the difference is a coach in the imposter syndrome means I need outside validation for me to go down that path, versus this other thing, which is I'm choosing it and I'm constructing it and I'm in charge.
Right. And if you are choosing a coach, you're choosing them to support you and help you navigate your movement forward. You're not
Right.
asking them to throw you a lifeline and yank you out of your, your hole that you've put
Yeah,
yourself
and
in.
I think you need to be careful, people, if you're finding a coach to help you get out of the imposter syndrome.
Right. That's true.
Because
Because
essentially,
there's a bunch of people who will be glad to do it.
yeah, and they'll have their hands out. And essentially, when you're choosing someone to get you out of the imposter syndrome, you become disempowered because you're
Good point.
looking for someone to help you get out of something that you have only created in your mind. And seriously, there's nothing wrong with you. It's
Right.
just that you aren't feeling confident. You aren't feeling, like you have the structure. Okay, that's a different conversation than saying
Right.
you're an imposter.
Right. And imposter syndrome, I mean, just syndrome just feels like a disease of some sort that you can't get rid of. Like you'd need an antibiotic or something to get rid of it. And it feels heavy and big and just, it's just not how you want to feel. So
We
let's,
have we have in the whole personal development area have said there's something wrong with you.
yeah,
That old wound, that your history, your childhood, the inner child, what else? There's something wrong. That's why you can't show up. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. And so the personal development community has had this conversation, and we've all bought into like, there's something wrong with me.
right.
Well, that might be true. There might be something wrong with you, but you're a whole, imperfect, perfect human being, spiritual being. And when we can accept that, yeah, we've got these flaws, but we have this whole creative force that we get to manifest through, that we get to focus our attention towards and be in creation. That's really what instant manifestation is about, is taking that focus and our intention and building it into the physical world. We all have that ability.
Right.
And somewhere along the way, we've given it up somewhere. And it's time for all of us to reclaim that so that we can have the life that we want to design. It's not outside. Nobody has the key to it. You, me. I have the key. I get to turn the lock.
Like it says right here. There it is. Joy is an inside job.
It is. Yeah.
It's all an inside job. And it's a little bit of a hard concept to wrap your head around at first when you're not familiar, when you're just kind of getting used to that. But once it clicks, it's really cool. And you just realize that you're really unstoppable. You just have to unleash yourself.
Like, what if you could do that? What if you could do that? Like, just think about how many new adventures you get to go on. Right. If you reclaimed the conscious creation of your living in your life, like, how many new adventures do you get?
How many people can you help? If you're in whatever business you're in, how many people can you help? How many people can you impact? What kind of impact can you make in the world? And where will that take you?
The other thing about conscious creation is the frequency of prosperity and abundance. Right. That's from our other podcast. We've talked about that frequency that you get to share, that you get to model and emulate and speak to and gather in, in community. Like you just get to keep building and building and building on that. Right. So when we buy into being and have the imposter syndrome, we buy into the fear of frequency, of fear of, help me, fear. We build into the frequency of fear and scarcity and being limited, and that we can't have it because there's not enough of it anywhere on the planet for me to survive. We again perpetuate that. And that label is one of the steps, doorways, pathways into living into fear.
Right. Yeah. So are there any other labels that we can think of that maybe we've been presented with on in our various, journeys? Is there anything else that comes to mind? I mean, imposter syndrome is like the big one, but I'm wondering if there are any other labels that people fall into like that.
I'm not good enough. Yeah. I can't do it. who's going to believe me?
Right.
Am I worthy?
Right.
Uh,
Which goes back to the value that you feel for yourself.
right. And the thing about it, that's again, you're broken, right?
Right.
You are not broken. I'm
Right.
here to say, like, you weren't born broken. God didn't see you broken. He designed you in his perfect image, in her perfect image, right? Like that,
Right.
that if we remember that, and we remember our divinity and our radiance and our brilliance that we were born into, man, just think about how the world could be.
Right.
I think that's what's so awesome about the younger generation, our kids' age or a little bit older. Like, all of them are just capable.
Right.
The ones that were raised in wholeness, they're just like, yeah, let's do it. Okay, let's go.
I know. And I'm a Gen Xer, so I'm like, are we sure? Do we have everything? Are we ready to go? Have we read all the instructions?
Right. And
And they're like, let's do it.
A lot of the kids now are just sort of like, well, they just don't believe that there's anything that they can stop. I mean, when I think of Greta Thunberg, right, who is an environmentalist.
Mm-hmm.
How old is she? She's really young.
When I first heard of her, I believe she was 15 or 16.
Yeah, she was sort of like, yeah, all you guys out here, all you politicians, all you people, environmentalists who aren't doing anything, you're just talking the game. It's just a game, and
Right.
her clarity and her truth and her speakingness and the reality of what's really going on in the world where, where the environment is in crises. The
Right.
fact that she was speaking it and she stood up to politicians and
Right.
world leaders.
Right. Because what did she have to lose? She didn't.
Well, the thing is
she wasn't influenced.
She has to gain, right?
She has everything to gain.
She's trying to save the world from its own self-destruction. And it's like, I just look at her and it was just in awe. Like, she just didn't. Nobody was going to stop her.
Right.
Not even Orange Puff. He wasn't going to stop her, and she just took what he had to say and fed it back to him. I just admire her so much for that.
Right. And it'll be nice to see more people come forward in that regard that haven't been tainted by, all the deals and everything else that goes
with it. Yeah.
Goes down in the back rooms and everything. But yeah, I agree. The younger generation is definitely much more bold in how they think and how they move. And it's going to be really interesting to see how much they accomplish going forward. My daughter amazes me every day, just in some of the things she says. And I'm like, wow, I was not in that headspace when I was your age.
The reality of the world is coming to fruition. Like, everything from the environment to politics to our economy to our manufacturing and production, all of it's the pandemic, completely forgot about that. Like, all of this raw stuff is coming up, and we as a community, as society, we need to bring our gifts to the world, and we can't do that when we're making excuses for how we're not going to show up.
That's so true. I mean, the world needs more of the light workers. That is incredibly true.
To show up. We
have to show up because the world needs everybody. The world needs us, especially
with so many people leaving the planet.
Oh yeah.
Right. So
yeah, absolutely. And the mental health situation. I mean, people need those people to hold space. Yeah. And to be there.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too is the frequency of the planet is heightening. Yeah. So it's gonna actually make more people move forward. Like, you're gonna find over the next year, like, any kind of lethargy or reasonings for holding back, like, they're just all gonna get shaken loose.
Right. Well, and you're already starting to see that. I mean, you're starting to see that with the labor force, people changing jobs, people from the pandemic deciding, even though I've done this for 20 years, I don't want to do this anymore. Right. I want to do something else completely different. And whatever that is, it can vary, but the awakening that's happened over this pandemic, and people are just not waiting. They're not waiting
Well,
for someday anymore, which is exciting.
well, I mean, if anything that COVID has taught us is that life is not certain and guaranteed.
Absolutely. And I don't, you think, well, we all knew that before, but I think it's just a super heightened awareness.
Well, I mean, just in the United States, we have over 600,000 people who have died in
Right.
the course of 18 months. And, and there's just somebody that or a family that or a neighbor or somebody that has died.
Yeah.
Maybe in relation or not in relation to COVID, but they've departed the planet. And I think this pandemic has shaken the social consciousness of what is your life about?
Exactly.
What are you doing? Are you happy? Are you having an experience that you're feeling joy? Are you in alignment when you're going to bed feeling well used instead of used up? You know what I mean? It's sort of like making everybody start reevaluate how they're spending their time.
Absolutely. And I think that because everybody, I mean, you don't hardly know anybody anymore who doesn't know someone who has either passed away or had a close friend of a friend or family or whatever pass away. Yeah. And I've had, we both had loss in our life directly. And it does change you when it happens to you, and it didn't happen to everybody before. And now it's happened to almost everybody. And it really does make a huge difference in the way you think about things.
When I think about death, and I have experienced many people leaving my life through death, the one thing that grief does is it grows compassion.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And it grows appreciation of what's happening, what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're serving, are you showing up? Like, I think a lot of things, we're digressing here, but I think a lot of things in the economy, why people are not going back to their jobs, because people don't want to work 3 jobs, 4 jobs.
Right.
Right. They don't want to do that. Like we have to stop the enslavement of low income people and give them a working wage that allows them to live.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's another day, another topic, but anyway, that's my conversation about being an imposter. Stop it.
The world needs our gifts. The world needs the light workers, and we can't keep holding ourselves back by giving ourselves an out. Right? Yeah.
Like there's just too much to do. There's too much to do, and there's too many hearts to heal and people to be seen and, to spread your joy and light on. So
absolutely.
How do they say? Delete.
delete. Yeah. Get rid of that from your vocabulary. So
exactly.
Anytime that creeps in, reframe it, make it lighter.
Yeah.
And let's get rid of it. Let's quit talking about it.
Be of service, right?
Yeah.
Love and accept yourself. Find compassion, find gratitude, know your value. Yeah. That's what every time that imposter label comes up, say those 6 things, five or 6 things. Change the frequency and the patterning in your head, because you are worthy. You do have a gift. It's time for you to show up. Okay, I'm off my soapbox.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a really good conversation. I hope everyone's gotten something out of it, and I think it's a good place to wrap up. What do you think?
Yep. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in for Intuition First, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Intuition First. We're so glad that you chose to spend your time with us today. If you know someone who could benefit from this episode, please share it with them and tag us on Instagram at Intuition First. We'd love to hear what you enjoyed and what you'd like to hear more of. And until the next time, keep listening to your intuition. It really knows what it's talking about.